to You Plant, We Water. In this corner of the world, we are focused on talking about and expanding our information and knowledge regarding our faith, spirituality, mental health, and most importantly, relationship satisfaction. We are here to help you have the satisfying, thriving, healthy relationship that God has for you, whether that's romantic relationships, you know, parent child relationships, relationships with coworkers, you name it. We're here. We'll give you tips, knowledge, expert advice, and not so expert advice. I am your host, that host. I meant host, co-host. Dr. Toya Flowers, licensed professional counselor with a specialization in couples and family counseling, as well as a professor of counseling at a graduate school, and my lovely, distinguished co host.
Hi, I'm Trisha. I am a minister and a lifestyle coach. And as always, we are so happy to have you guys and for us to be with you.
Exactly. So, if you've watched us before, you know we like to cover a variety of topics. We love to hear from our viewers. So, if there's ever anything you'd like us to cover, please do. And we've developed this approach that we kind of call the three P's, where we might talk about it from either the petty perspective, the professional perspective, or the prophetic, right? So, today, I think we're definitely going to get a chance to get into some of the three P's. But before we dive into our topic for today, I would truly be remiss if I do not remind you that we are actively engaged in our 90-day Faith Over Fear Challenge. All that means is that we are trying to activate our faith. What we know, and you've probably seen this in your own life, and I'll speak for myself personally, is when God is trying to move me to the next level, the enemy seems to come at me hard, especially with doubt, imposter syndrome, fear that why me, or am I really the right one for this next thing that you've called me to do? And right now, what we're trying to do is build up those faith muscles to combat that fear. If you'd like more information, you can visit our Facebook page, You Plant, We Water, where there is a community group you can join, and there'll also be a variety of resources. It doesn't matter when you see this, whenever you see this, that is a great day to start. You can always go back and watch previous episodes for information. We will try to remember to pin the episode where we first introduced it because I gave more info. But we are like more than halfway through. We are in the second month, right? So if you think of the we've already done 30 days and we're in that next 30 to 60-day bracket. So we are well into building our faith. Things you can think about during this time are one, making sure you're engaging in some type of faith building activities that bring you joy. That's the key, that are bringing you joy and help you connect with your faith, because you got to stay encouraged during this time. So that might be prayer, worship, music, nature walks, whatever that is, hot cup of tea while you read your Bible verses. But do those things that you find joy in and that strengthen your faith. And then also look for community support, which we have for you. Woo-hoo. And if we are here to encourage you as well. But anywho, surrounding yourself with positive, faith-filled people who will uplift and encourage you. I know there's a scripture or a story in the Bible where Jesus was, I don't know if he was going to raise the dead or he was going to do some healing, but there were not people who were not of the right energy and mindset, right? Doubters, disbelievers. And he told them to get out, because it does matter who you surround yourself, especially when you are trying to conquer fear with faith. So do those two pieces for the time being. We'll have more updates next time. And anything you want to say, sis, just about this challenge that we've been on?
It's been challenging on you. No, the reason why I said that, and that's being honest,
Yes.
is anytime you're doing something that is building your relationship with God, you're gonna have some pulls and some tugs, because one, even when it's all well, God has to remove some impurities from you. So that doesn't feel good, right? We're like, I kind of liked a little dirty until you put the peroxide on or alcohol and it stings. Yeah. Well, that's what's kind of happening. So I'm in that process where I'm like, okay, well, I did say that I wanted this. However, some of the stuff that's coming out, I'm like, I didn't was okay with that. But God's like, no, you weren't okay. Remember, you said you wanted to elevate and move over some of that fear that you had. And so that's what's being done for me. So I'm being exposed, and it's nobody else. It's just me.
Beautifully said. I love that metaphor. Yes, it's definitely like going up a hill, right? So in the beginning, you're trying to get up the hill. That's the hardest part, right? And then once you get to the top of the hill, you get to enjoy the view. And then think about on the way down, you just smooth sailing. So I feel like I am approaching the top of the hill, but it was a journey trying to get there. But I'm starting to see some of the results. I'm starting to find more joy and really be able to visualize what God has for me next. But I love that metaphor about the impurities. I'm just gonna say this. When I was like first went to college and I was like using, I don't know, who knows? I probably was using body soap to wash my face. I don't know. But one of my friends started working in Carson's at Clinique. This is Clinique hasn't given us no money, so you can use whatever you want. Said that when I first started using this product, this expensive facial creams, I broke out and I was like, girl, what did you do? And she was like, you have to stick with it. It's bringing out all impurities in your skin. But if you stick with it, your skin will look better afterwards. And it did. And I've been using it ever since. So Clinique, if you're interested, that's your girl. But that's what that's what to your point, right?
No, it's
like
true. And this is why I said, God, even in this moment, this is probably too much information, but I'm just going to share this with you. So ordinarily, I have pretty nice skin. Like people always comment, that's one of my good features. However, I did that same thing and I stopped. Oh no, I like the impurities being masked in me because seeing them out like that was traumatizing. But to be honest, I have got my own skincare regimen, and it is true. And I had to go through that with retinol.
Yeah,
it breaks you out. And I was like, oh no, this is too strong. This is poison. Trying to get me. But none of that is true. But you do have to go through that detox, and it's not fun. It's not pleasant. But the after effects are better. So
well said. So you may be going through a detox, right? There's so many things I could think of to do. Even when I've done the smoothie cleanses, same thing. You get sick, you look worse, and then beautiful afterwards. All right. So enough about that. Let us know though how it's going, especially if you're starting, whether you need encouragement or whether you're have some praise reports already. We'd love to hear about it. Having said that, we are going to delve into our topics for today. And as I said, we'd love to hear from our viewers. So if there's ever anything you have a question about or want us to discuss, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can always reach us on our Facebook page via direct message. Having said that, Trisha found a video and is going to present our topic for today. And we're going to chop it up as per usual.
So the video is a video that is talking about dating, right? And it was something that I was intrigued by. Of course, that's why I made it to the show. And then I brought it to my sister, and we're going to discuss that. I'm not sure. We might have footage, we may not, but if not, I will go ahead and explain everything. So I will begin to tell you, of course, this was off of a Facebook post, and it was again related to dating and giving us some insight on what it looks like. So I'm not sure what we got to see with that, but anyway, that was the
first date was amazing.
The first date was amazing, and there was a writer writing into the person that was talking. And so the woman said that she went on her first date and everything was great, and then the guy said, "Would you tip?" And the person that was speaking to the video said she would absolutely tip. And that would be her last interaction with the fella. So now, with that being said, of course, you're like, oh my God, why would she just, not talk to this man because he asked her for a tip? Well, her argument was that the person was testing her. And when you're courting someone or you're asking them out, that is your opportunity to get to know them. And her question was, it was never about the money. We could have went on a walk. But the point was, why did you feel like we had to play this little game of tit for tat when we could have just got to know each other, and then you would have known my character. And the woman that was speaking was like, look, I'm the type of woman that I would have taken you out and paid for the bill and did everything. But I am never going to go back out with this person because it was a game being played. And so when I brought it to my sister, I'm like, well, what are your thoughts? And she didn't give me a lot of thought because we try to give you guys real impressions on what's going on. So.
Yes. So this will be her kind of first time hearing my thoughts. And I get it, right? I think the real issue is like the woman said, it's not about the tip, because I think in the video, the woman said they went to a really expensive restaurant and had a wonderful time and all that. And then, but it was about the game playing. Game playing is the, common word for it. What we're really talking about is a manipulation. Nobody likes to be manipulated, right? Manipulated is being puppeted. No one wants to be tested or any of those things. So I can totally understand why the poster, the social media
commentary,
person, the commentaries, her response to the viewer's question was, if it were her, she would never go out with this person again. Because one thing she said that I think is probably true, she said, if he's testing me now, he will always find things to test me for. And she's not into playing games. So that makes a lot of sense. And I think that would be the issue for me as well. I love that she clarified it's not about the money, or how much money. She did say, court her according to your means, right? She was fine with that, but no testing, no game plan. So I think it was less about the tip and more about the testing. So but then I do have like a challenge for us to think about as ladies about, do we also test during the first date?
Yes. And when we do it, we lose out on good people. So,
but before that, I'm gonna say, like, if he's doing a test, like, will she split the tip? Are we testing when we say, is he gonna open the door? Or is he gonna pull out my chair?
Yeah.
Is that like
it is, and so that's what I got from the video. Yeah. All of us are testing to find out when we're dating someone or courting someone, is this a match for me?
Exactly.
The thing is to be honest. For me, my thing is, I don't like to be played with. If you want to ask me what it is that I'm willing to do, I will tell you. Yeah. And if it doesn't align with you, so we can stop with wasting each other's time, then you can move on and I can move on. Because I could tell you, for me personally, I am that type of a person. I have no problem, but I also expect that if you are the male in this relationship, that you are putting your end of the bargain. Now, this is not what we talked about, but I mentioned it earlier. The soft man era. I don't like that. I don't like the soft man era. I don't care how you word it. I am used to a particular type of man, and this is from my father, that is providing. And it's not about how much, it's about who are you when we're in this relationship? Because I'm also going to pull my part of it too. I don't agree with women are like, well, could you, because this is also on social media, could you take me on a date and then pay for my kids? Absolutely not. I would want my nephew to do that. I don't have sons, but no, I absolutely cannot pay for your kids. Whoever their father is, or father figure, or grandfather, whoever it is, they need to be doing that. And women, like I said, you're going to lose out on a good person too, because the games and, trying to go out for a meal, very petty, very low class. I wouldn't suggest do it. You always want to meet people where they are. Or so, like, some people will say, well, I wouldn't date a blue collar person. I would definitely date a blue collar person because they have a job. So that for me is more important than what the quality of the job is. So we have to get out of that, because you are ultimately going to miss your blessing. And one thing that we were taught as young girls is a helpmate, a wife, is going to elevate you. So if you came in working at, I don't know, not picking up garbage, because I love those.
That's a
people.
Great job.
It is, but I'm just but if you were at a candy store and you were making minimum wage, I'm okay with that. We can work on that as long as I can see that you have a good work ethic, because we will own the candy store once I get done with you. But I would never tell you that on the first date, so you would miss out on that, because I'm going to always say, I don't know, I'm not sure. More exchange. That's it. No, I don't know, because I also want to make sure that I'm getting somebody of quality. So it's never about money or finances or what you could do for me. It is, at the end of the day, are you a good person?
Well said, right? And I think that's the thin line with dating, because the whole process of dating is to, but as she did clarify this, is to get to know the person. Is this a person who is a fit for me? So I agree in some ways there will be things that you're looking for, but I totally agree. I hate game playing. It's the thing, like I hate it, like with a passion. I would much rather you can tell me the truth about anything, and I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe I'm down with it, maybe I'm not, but don't try to play games. So I see that. You mentioned a term, and when we were talked about this briefly before the show, you mentioned this term, and I had never heard it, and I didn't know what it meant. And you talked about it again today. Say more about this soft man era, because this is new. I'd never heard this terminology.
Hell, I'm the new hip one. No, I'm just playing.
She
But
is.
the soft man era, in my opinion, came off of the soft woman era, right? And so it was like a playback to women, but I don't like it at all. I don't like the terminology, because at the end of the day, men, even if you are gentle, that I maybe would have been able, okay, with the gentleman era or gentleman era. But when you're soft, that's a feminine characteristic, and it's not something that I would be privy to. I personally, I don't want anything soft. I don't want your hands soft. I like a man.
That's what I said.
Person.
Soft and a man do not go together.
It's not something, but this is like a real thing where men are saying it, and I don't think that they realize that the type of woman you're going to get is going to be a different kind of woman.
Right. So to make sure our audience understands what we mean by these eras. So the soft woman era has been this movement of women trying to fall back into their feminine energy, right? So that might look like it even could look like being more submissive, more docile. Like docile is not a good word, but just falling into femininity. So that's the soft woman era, and I've heard of that. But apparently now there is a soft man era, ERA, well, even though it is an era. Because when Trisha told it to me, my first expression was, ugh, right? Like nobody wants any, I shouldn't say no, but soft and man are not the two things that I'm like, yeah, that sounds inviting.
So me go
but
back.
What does it mean if they're soft, if they are in that soft man
Well, to
energy?
me, and this is again, what
do they say it means?
Well, and this is the definition that they're giving. They're allowing the woman to take the lead, and they're allowing the woman to be in her soft man era. I mean, a leading man era, and they're falling back. And so for me, even biblically, right? Mm-hmm. In order to be led, you need a leader. And if you're in your soft man era and I'm in my soft woman era or my hard man era, we're confusing all of these different things. And so now no one's taking the lead, right? I'm like, well, you pick it up and you pick it up. And so now it's like, who's going to pick it up and who's going to get this done? And so that's the thing. And you guys look it up. I'm not making this up. This is not something that that Trisha's telling you. It's not. But when I heard it, and it's so an example of it, to be clear, was another man. He was going on a date as well. And the lady had told him about all of the things that she had, and she had a nice house that she could provide for him, and that he was going to be taken care of, and that she was going to cover the date. And and again, this is game plan on her part. When she got there, she was like, you paid for it. And he did. So he was like, okay, cool. So then he was like, I should have left then because something was off. But then they went on to go get drinks. And so she had got this expensive whatever drink, and she had did all this, and she had invited everybody over. And when the guy came to, leave, he was like, well, I bought whatever I was going to buy for you. And she was like, well, you're not going to take this. And he was like, well, no, I'm in my soft man era, and I only dated you because you said that you had all of these resources. And so with that being said, that's the soft man era. And I'm like, that's not the type of person I'm looking for.
So. Wow. That's speechless. But what I will say, and as I said, like, I don't know. I think what's happening in these more modern times is things are getting confused, right? And yes, gender roles are just a societal construct. They don't truly exist. But the Bible does explain what order in the home would look like, right? And a soft man era doesn't seem to fall in line with that, just like I would guess if you wanted to be a soft man, you would need a hard woman. So I'm sure people are doing it. It's making sense for them, but I think it all sounds like game playing, right? Like it all sounds like game playing to me. Like let's just be who we authentically are, whatever that is. And you might be, you could be a man who is more easygoing, nothing wrong with that. You could be a woman who is more headstrong, nothing wrong with that. But let's just be who we authentically are instead of trying to, I don't know,
be in an era. Let's just be who we are.
Let's be the era of we are who we,
Yes,
who we
let's
are.
just be authentically.
With fearfully and wonderfully made era.
Yes, and to take some of that pressure off, because what we're doing is we're confusing the future people behind us, right? And they're not going to know what's what, who's what. I mean, that's just overall, and that's something that we have to be mindful of as the house of God, and making sure that we are clear on who we are. And there's no judgment on whatever people are doing, but you are confusing a lot of different people, and you even yourself sometimes. And that's the part that makes it hard to be able to address. Just be who you are. You may be a more masculine. I don't even want to say masculine. You may have more traits that are stronger, or you may have more traits that are not, I would say, not, I'm about to say softer, but you may have things that are just calm. And that's just be that.
Yeah. What says counselor, right? So I'm going into professional. Whoever God made you to be is okay, right? There is no market on personality traits, right? If as a woman, if you're a leader, that doesn't mean you're not a woman. If you like have natural leadership skills. If as a man, as I said, if you're a quieter man, that doesn't mean that you're acting like one. These God made all the personality traits and characters, and then when He formed us, He gave us what He needed because there's nobody else on the planet like us. Nobody can beat you at being you. So that's what I would love to see us focus on. And in some ways, when we're moving into these eras, it's like we're trying to force ourselves to fit in a box, right? And that may or may not align with who God ultimately called you to be. At the end of the day, it sounds like a lot of the errors, and I don't know, I hadn't ever heard of the softman errors. I appreciate Trisha for bringing this to me, but it sounds like people are hyper focused on resources, finances, and getting other people's resources and finances instead of growing your own resources and finances. And ultimately, that is not really the purpose of dating, right? The purpose of dating is to find a life partner, which will include combining your resources in some ways. But especially if you're a young person listening to this, because when I hear some of these things, I just get so afraid for my kids. I'm just like, is this what they, oh my goodness, is this what they have to deal with? But if you're a young person listening to this, be you, be your authentic self. And I'm going to give you some really old school advice. Get you a sheet of paper. What? I know y'all do not use paper and pens. Y'all use your phone. So if you don't want to do that, use your phone. But get something, a piece of paper or something, and a pen, and make a list of the things that you're looking for in your partner. Just write it out. I want them to be kind, considerate, whatever it is. Write that list out and use that as your guide. You're not going to get that. I'm sorry. That's me speaking in my flesh saying you ain't going to get everything. All things are possible through God. You might get everything on your list. If not, in the world of counseling, what we say is what is good enough. If you can't get perfect, what is good enough? And usually good enough might be like you get 80%. Maybe you had kind, considerate, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But they're not that funny. But you could live with that. Like, I don't live with somebody who's not that funny. I don't know. But that would be my suggestion as your guide to dating. What are your thoughts as an actual dating coach? Because I mostly deal with people once the relationship is in trouble.
So what I would say is there always going to be a little monkey wrench. So you could have got everything on your list, but you didn't consider that this person has 3 kids. And that may have been something that you didn't say. And like I said, when we don't say things, God likes to give us a little test too. Like I gave you everything, how you like that? And you have to look. And I'm saying, please don't miss your blessing focusing on things that are not on your that would make you whole, that would make the
Yes.
kingdom whole, right? You don't want to fixate on things like we said earlier. Well, I want somebody that's 5'6". Well, they're 5'4". What is the like? Really, is that really going to make that person not valid for you? And to some people, that is a deal breaker. But you might just be missing that blessing because you are focusing in on something that is not something that is a moral. That's just a preference.
Right. Oh, right. Or value. And to that point, we saw a related video, and I saw this video right after you sent me. Facebook's always listening, so after you sent me that video, I swiped a couple times, and then this another video came up from a popular. I guess he calls himself a relationship coach. He's gotten into some hot water, so I'm not going to mention his name. But he did say like a quote that I thought was spot on, and he basically said, now he was speaking to men, but this applies to anyone. He said, if you have the opportunity to date or be with a once in a lifetime woman, you cannot bring in those same unhealed habits that you use with the chicks you were running with before, who saw just some benefit in getting anything they could from you. There's a very big difference between somebody that's just, someone you was running with and a once in a lifetime person. So we talked briefly about that, but I think that's ultimately, if you dating and you feel like, man, I've come across this is when you don't want to be doing any of this errors, games, manipulation, none of that.
You're going to mess your blessing up. And so that's what we're here for, because in the world, we run by different rules, right? And so we're here trying to give you sound principles that are going to get you your partner and not run the person away that could be your potential partner, because you're getting afraid and you're watching social media and you're using social media things to pick people and not the Bible, right? So we want to make sure that you go to the core of who you are and you're okay and you get healed and you are watered, because we want you to get that mate. But sometimes we are in the way of ourselves because, again, we're watching social media, maybe too much, but we need to be mindful of that. All of the errors, whatever the error is, at the end of the day, we want you to have a whole relationship where you are healed and you guys are multiplying and doing all of the things that makes the kingdom whole. And we are not doing that with some of the dating. Just throwing that out there.
Definitely. Right. And I think to your point about what we're doing with some of that, I think dating in some ways has just gotten skewed altogether. And then when we get into Christian or godly dating, now we're in a whole nother whole realm. So hopefully this is some interesting advice. We oftentimes talk to you all from the point of when you're already in the relationship, but you got to get to that. You got to find your person that you're willing to take a chance with. And so we want to approach all sides of it. And, I'm going to quote, because I'm going petty here, I'm going to quote Disney. You got to kiss a lot of frogs to find your prince sometimes. So that just means it's okay. That's what the dating process is for, is to get to know people. And you don't have to make it work. You might win out. You might be like,
I want to say this one point.
Okay.
Our mom told us, everybody that you're dating is not your mate. It's not going to be your forever person. And that's okay. But it's better to get out earlier than to prolong it because you've told yourself this. If God himself didn't tell you, and this is not adding up, get out of that. So cut your losses and say, wow, you know what? This was fun, and stop. But don't think that every person, especially young people, because we think, well, I love this person. I'm going to be this person. You may not be, and that's okay. And it isn't, you're not a failure because it didn't work. It may not just have been in alignment for this time. God has a plan for all of us. So just say, you know that.
Well said, right? And it worked out different for everyone. Some people are still happily married to the person they met in high school. I have a friend who's met her husband in high school, and they're just as happily married as they want to be. And then others, not so much the case. And but when you said, date people and know this may not be your forever person. Yeah, but I was in high school. My first my high school sweetheart, I just knew we were gonna be together forever.
She did. And listen, she did, and that's when our mom gave us that advice. But it might not. But it's okay. And that's the thing. I don't want you to feel like if it doesn't work out, that there's something wrong. It just may be the wrong time, different place. Like we've seen that where people have come back together after they've been like. So just my advice dating is just to be in the moment. Try not to go too far left, too far left. Just stay right here and get in your word. And I promise you, if you get in that word, the things that are supposed to be are going to be.
Well said. So know what you're looking for, right? That's what I meant by the list. Know what are the traits you're looking for. As you date, you'll know more of what matters and what doesn't. Trisha mentioned kids. That might have been on there. You may add it then, or you may take something else out, but know what you're looking for. Have your boundaries. Enforce your boundaries, right? That's what we mean by if it's not feeling right, don't force it. But also be open-minded. If you've been dating just circles and that hasn't been working for you, why not try a square or a triangle? Because maybe that's the missing piece, right? So be open-minded. Have fun out there while you can, right? But be safe and be wise and know that some of this stuff is going around, y'all. So if nothing else, hopefully we've expanded your knowledge to know that some of these things are happening. Don't play games. Don't play games.
Yes, don't play games and just know we are here to try to give you as much information that we can, but also ground you, which is not happening in a lot of places. We're just saying stuff and spewing out a lot of things at people, and we're not putting you back to God, who at the end of the day, I promise you, if you do it the right way, things are different. And I know that personally.
Right. So there you have it. Petty, professional, and prophetic. This conversation just reminded me early on when our show first started, I did have a viewer who said they wanted us to, believe it or not, they wanted us to talk about godly flirting.
We got you.
So maybe that's coming up in a show soon because there is a process. There's flirting, there's courting, there's all the things. So we'll see what we can do there. We are just about out of time for today's show. As always, we thank you for tuning in. If you want to know more, got questions, concerns, anything, please visit us on our Facebook page where you can get in touch with us to share your thoughts. That's You Plant, We Water. We'd like to thank our executive producer, Bishop Lloyd Kohler Jr., pastor of Mission Covenant Church in Blue Island. And as always, you plant, we water.